It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, we're pushing buttons here, trying to get some clip going for you guys. I apologize. I got distracted. You know, one thing I want to do is talk about the release of all of the documents. 29,000 pages released by the Fed. Bloomberg has sued the government in a Freedom of Information request, and I guess they decided that, okay, you want it? Boom. Here. Everything. Yeah, that's pretty much how it's always done, is if you don't want them to find out something, you just dump it with about 15 gazillion, every little thing you can. In there, they're finding out that foreign governments got the majority of access to money in the bailouts, or at least a large enough chunk to go, So we'll do some stories on that next week. We're already planning on that, and of course we get our video thing here working. We'll get it up today for you to do it this hour. But I want to go ahead and spend some time with you on the articles written by Pepe Escobar. And I think I've had him. Sierra, check and see if I've had him on before. It seems familiar. I took the time. No. Okay, so this is the first time. I think we've had him on Freedom's Phoenix before, published his stuff. I took the time to read the articles they had written in reference to what we're going to be talking about today, and I learned so much. And it's every paragraph is new information that I didn't know. And I'm like, wow, this is, if everybody knew this, what would happen? But in the past, we've gone through this before to where, earth-shattering news has come out and nothing happens. I'll give you some samples, and of course, it won't take away from, I'm sure he's going to give us color commentary on every piece of this, and I want to encourage you to listen to the second hour and send the archive. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting because I want to hear a lot about this. Let me give you an example. There's been wide speculation in both the U.S. and across the Middle East that considering the military stalemate, here we have glasses, and short of the coalition of the willing bombing the Gaddafi family to oblivion, Washington, London, and Paris might settle for the control of eastern Libya, a northern African version of an oil-rich Gulf emirate. Gaddafi would be left with a starving North Korea-style Tripolitania. But considering the latest high-value defections from the regime, plus the desired endgame, Gaddafi must go, in President Obama's own words, Washington, London, Paris, and Riyadh won't settle for nothing but the whole kebab, including a strategic base for both Africa-COM and NATO. Now, I want to definitely drill in on that when we talk to Pepe, because that's one thing that Karen Kwiatkowski, Lieutenant Colonel retired from the Pentagon, said yesterday. She goes, half of my military career was in the Cold War. When the Berlin Wall fell and we had NATO was there to protect the West from the Iron Curtain, the Eastern Europe from the Soviet Union, and communism, and the Cold War boogeyman of whatever. When that went away, I thought NATO would dissolve. We wouldn't need it anymore. That was the whole point. North American Treaty Organization, I think is what it stands for. So I'm going, okay. Northern Alliance, whatever it is, NATO. I'll look it up here in a little bit. But point is that we have a consolidation, North Atlantic. That's what, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, sorry. What happened is we have all this consolidation of central power in the form of military without a mission. Well, you can't have any kind of a collectivist government entity without a mission. How do you get your money? You need to have money. Got to fund whatever the heck it is that you're going to do. So you manufacture boogeymen. Or you have this dog and you need to unleash it on something, justify its existence. Without that, what will we have? It's gotten to the point that NATO has become an enforcement arm of the United Nations, and it needs to be if they're going to do what they want, because the United Nations, I don't know how much of peacekeeping forces do they have, and how do they consolidate it, and how do they allocate it, and where do they send it? Now, this is dangerous stuff. The one thing that they want, they've always wanted, is global funding. We'll have progressive guests on the show, and it goes like this. Do you know how much one cruise missile, one Tomahawk missile cost when they do it? And they've done 150 whatever of them. Do you know how much money that is? Do you know how better that could have been spent in the support of humanitarian, fill-in-the-blank cause, reason, noble, whatever, we are justified taking your money from you because they took it to send the bombs. They should take it to do something else. The question is never, don't take it. Not even on their radar screen. So we have that discussion. I can see where this is going, and I hope, just from experience of living on the planet long enough, that the young in the audience, I think, in my estimation, see it much more clearly than the cognitive dissonance that's been created for the older generation. And I hesitate saying this because it gets me in trouble, but I want to share this with you, and it's on record. Here we go. In my younger days, in my 20s, when I first started doing political activism, started to become aware, it dawned on me that the people that I was dealing with were, the forces behind all this, the real money. The people that were 3 layers removed from the names that you actually saw giving speeches and so on. They're at the end of the puppet string. It goes way on up. There's, the guys that, connect the strings. There's the guys that make the little hand control thing. There's the people that manipulate them, and then there's the brains behind it, and it goes on up in, infinity. And even if you get rid of those guys, if you don't have the people not being susceptible to the puppet show, there's just another puppeteer that comes in and does it anyway. Everybody keeps thinking that we're going to, change the guy that's at the end of the puppet string. We're going to change the guy that, connects the wires. We're going to, be the conscience of the guy that controls the manipulators. We're going to change the mind. Heck, we can take out the guy that's at the top of the, and all you have to do is just convince the people that they don't need to watch the puppet show or adhere to what they say or care what, that's one thing that we have on Freedom's Phoenix today. There's an article that I was motivated to put up, and it's, from a gentleman. It was on Lou Rockwell today, and I put it up, or had C.I.A. do it. It's in here somewhere. And it's the man who named the Coctopus. Now, what he's talking about, the Koch brothers and Cato and kind of the influence they've had on the libertarian movement back in the day. And his name was Sam Konkin. And this is back in the 70s and 80s, and all this with Murray Rothbard was going on against the Koch brothers in the battle for libertarian philosophy and whether we should even vote or participate in this. It was a mental exercise to understand where we were going and the why and what the best opposition to it is. There is an agorist theme that's been going on for decades, and it's resurrecting itself. We'll talk about more when we come back.